Hi, welcome to Tina's Tries and Expressions. My name is Tina, and today we're going to be working on the upcycled shoes into jewelry. And part 3 is the bracelet right here. That's the one we're going to be working on today. And in part 1, we made this choker necklace. We also made an anklet, which is identical to this with this teardrop, just in the ankle size. And in part 4, which are going to be the earrings and also this ring. So I hope you join me for part 4. And sorry it took me so long to get part 3 and 4 up. I did have a new subscriber that was wondering where they went. Well, they're finally getting edited. So thank you for reminding me that I needed to get those done. So let's get started. Here's a pair of shoes I got at a thrift shop, and I've already showed you in part 1 and 2. They were so pretty I couldn't pass them up even though they're in bad condition. They broke the first time I wore them. But that's okay. I knew with all the pretty rhinestones on there I'd make jewelry with it. So what we're going to need to do that is our pliers and the tape measure, some findings, the scissors, and the toothbrush. So now we're just going to grab the shoe, and this is what we have left after making some other jewelry. And this is the part we're going to be using for the bracelet. We're going to cut it here, and we're also going to cut it right there. So I'm going to grab my scissors, and then we're just going to cut it on this part over here, and then we're going to flip it around, and then we're going to cut it over here. So here's what we have once we've cut it off the shoe. So now we just need to cut underneath here so that we can make the connections with our clasp. So now we're going to do that to the other side too by cutting off the excess piece of leather on the back. And now we have 2 openings on either side. Now we're just going to flip that over, and we're going to see that it's very flaky leather, and we're just going to clean that up with the toothbrush. So we're going to first start picking at it and see what we can do to loosen it up. And I'm going to speed up the video a little bit here and just keep picking at that until it's all cleaned up, and then there's no more flaky leather on the back of that. And we're just about done with that, and we're just going to take a look at that, and that looks pretty good. So now we're going to get ready to add our chain, and first we need to measure. I'm going to get the tape measure and measure this, and this piece is just a bit under 4 inches. So now what I'm going to need to do is measure my wrist, and it's measuring at 6.5 inches. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some chain, and I'm going to measure 2 pieces to about 2 inches. Then we're just going to cut those pieces of chain. If you need to pause it, you can do that to cut the second one. I'm only showing one in the video. So we're going to lay this out and we're going to measure it. So I have about 8 inches, and that's too big for my wrist, which was 6.5, but we'll trim that later. So we're going to first take a jump ring, and we're going to open that up. Then we're going to grab the piece of chain, and we're going to add that chain to the jump ring. And then we're going to grab our bracelet piece in a second, and then we're going to add that to the jump ring as well. Okay, so we're just going to add that to the bracelet, and then we're just going to close up the jump ring and tighten it up and run my finger along the top edge to make sure it's not going to snag on the clothes. And we're going to do that to the other side as well. We're going to grab the piece of chain, but before I do that, I actually need to take the jump ring and open that. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to add the piece of chain to the jump ring. Then we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add that jump ring to the other end of the bracelet. So I'm going to grab that, put that on there, and then I'm going to take my pliers and close that up and tighten it and run my finger along the top edge. So now that that's completed, we have to add the clasp. So here's the clasp, but I need to get a jump ring so that I can add that to the bracelet. So we're just going to open up this jump ring. Then I'm going to take the lobster claw clasp, and I'm going to take the jump ring and put it through that hole right there. And once it's added to that, I'm going to add the jump ring to the end of the chain on the bracelet. And then we're going to close that up. And once that is closed nice and tight, after rocking that back and forth for a bit, there we go. We're going to run our finger, make sure it's smooth. And now we're just going to lay it down and measure it. And now it's measuring at about 9 inches. So obviously that's going to be a little bit too big. I'm going to ask my husband to help me put that on, and there we go. We're going to find the tightest setting that we can. And then I don't like this much chain hanging, so I'm going to leave probably about 1 inch, and I'm just going to snip off the rest. That way it is a little bit adjustable for me if I needed it to be. There you have it. We are all done with part 3, which is this really pretty bracelet. I hope you found a really cool either shoe or whatever it is that you took apart to recycle, and you have fun with the basics, learning how to make it into jewelry. So I hope you join me for part 4 for these earrings and this ring, and it should be up this week, I promise. So As always, I hope you had fun and you share with a friend, subscribe, comment, like, whatever you want to do. We also have a new Facebook group that I started, and it's where you can share things that you make from the tutorials here on my channel. So bye until next time.